So when I was broke, there were a lot of things that I basically wanted to buy, and I thought some of the things were actually going to make me happy. But for the most part, these were just things I wanted to buy like anybody else, okay? Like a car, a fancy house, and just things overall. And today that I have, for example, some money, and I'm able to buy literally almost all the things that I wanted when I was basically broke, I choose not to really buy them. They actually don't give me any true value. They're just status symbols. And for the most part, whenever I see somebody with a fancy car, when I was broke, I was saying, that person must have money. And today I'm like, all I really know about this person is that this person no longer has that $100,000 that they spent on that car. Or maybe they're just leasing it and just have a bunch of debt, okay? So for the most part, in this video, I'm going to tell you 3 things that I actually spend my money on that actually in some way make me happier overall. Now, I want to be very clear when I say this. These are things that you can do yourself without having to have a bunch of money. I am not a millionaire. I don't have billions of dollars. I don't have millions of dollars. And I live a pretty good life in my opinion. And I actually enjoy my life, okay? If I wanted to stop working today, I could. And to me, that is an amazing privilege. And you don't need to have a bunch of money to do the right things either. Now, if you guys don't know me, my name is TommyBryson. Do me a favor and smash the like button. Now, the very first thing, guys, is this. You can use money to buy more time. Now, obviously, you can't literally do that. You can't actually go to the time bank and say, hey, I'm going to purchase 100 hours or 2 days today, just to extend my life. Obviously, you can't do that. But you can use money to basically be able to invest your time the way you want to invest your time by not spending your time on the things you don't want to spend your time on. However, I don't believe that you should use money to avoid doing the things that you should do, that you are liable and responsible for doing, okay? More on that later. But, for example, you have Warren Buffett and you also have Charlie Munger. Well, Charlie Munger actually just died at the age of 99, and Warren Buffett is around 93 years old. Warren is worth around $118 billion, and Charlie was worth about $2.9 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Now, there is nothing that either of these two men couldn't actually buy in this world. But the way that God designed it is basically you can buy anything, but you can't actually buy time. So obviously, it's pretty obvious. Eventually, we will all run out of time, so money can't buy time. However, if you are physically, not physically, what's that word? Fiscally is the word. If you're fiscally responsible, just means basically you are responsible with your money. Notice I did not use the word rich or wealthy or a billionaire or doing well with a lot of money. No, if you're responsible with your money, you're easily able to set some money aside so you don't have to spend the time that you don't want to spend on certain things that basically drown you. And you can be a lot more selective. Now, what does this look like? What should I be responsible with my money in what way? Well, staying away from debt, having a sinking fund. So if things go wrong, or emergency fund, you actually have some cash on the side. Investing for the future and trying to pay off your home early. If you can get those things done responsibly in an orderly fashion in like 10 to 20 years or so, you'll be just fine. And you'll have a lot more time on your hand and control to do the things you need to do. Now, what is the bad side of this? The bad side of this is people that have a lot of money and they use that money to get themselves out of responsibilities that they should basically take on. For example, okay, I have 2 kids. Beautiful kids, okay? But I am a lot more interested in my career. So what I choose to do is basically, I have somebody else educate my kids, put them in school. I have someone else, for example, take care of my kids, get them, for example, a nanny or put them into a daycare. I have somebody else cook for my kids. I have somebody else basically just raise my kids up. And the only thing I do is I show myself up every now and then. I give a few compliments. I spend a little bit of time, and that's basically it. That's not what raising kids is actually all about. That's a bad way of actually using your money overall, talking about it from a biblical point of view. So that's the idea. So you shouldn't use money to get out of your responsibilities, but you can use money, for example, to get out of the things that you don't really have to do. For example, okay, how do I use it? Well, I don't cook myself for the most part. I don't really clean my house for the most part, and I don't even wash my clothes for the most part. Now, with this free time that this basically opens up for me, which is basically hours every single day, I'm actually able to spend this time on doing meaningful work, on reading my Bible, on going to church, on spending time with my family, on dedicating time to the people I love, like those things. But I'm not trying to use my money to get myself out of spending time with my family or my grandparents and just say, hey, send my grandma a little gift card, let her buy herself a jacket or something. No, you liberate the things that you don't really need to do and aren't really that responsible for, to do the things that are essentials. Okay, that's the idea. That's what you really want to use it for. Be very careful with that. Okay, it's a very fine line. And also, don't think that you need to have a bunch of money or have somebody else clean your house to be able to dedicate quality time to your kids. And by the way, it's not just quality time, it's also just time, dedicating time to things. And by the way, one thing that I did was I was on my phone and I realized I was spending around like 7 hours to 8 hours on my phone every single day. These days I spend between 2 to 4 hours on my phone, and it's because I uninstalled all social media. So all this free liberated time that I used to spend here, I spend it now with my family and the people I love and learning things that I love learning. Okay, so sometimes it's not really a money thing. It's also, where are you depositing your time? Very important stuff. Now, the second thing I like to spend my money on, and I won't spend a lot of time here because I don't like talking about this stuff, honestly, is actually gifting and basically giving to charity. Gifting things to people that I see that are in need, or gifting things to people just because I want to do it, or giving money to charity, or for example, to causes that I actually believe in. That's the idea. And doing it knowing that I can do it and I don't feel like resentment about doing it, okay? I think there's this very crazy idea where people say, you never feel bad about giving. Well, you will if you give money you don't have. You will regret it, okay? So that's why the Bible says, God loves a cheerful giver. Because when you give, it's not like you should give out of abundance, because that's not a good mindset either, because then you'll only give when you have, and what if you never have? And no matter how much money you have, you will always need more, and it will always it will never be like so much that you don't need it, because usually as you make more money, your lifestyle and things that you're actually needing the money for are actually going to increase. So you have to make giving like a part of what you do. I really recommend that. And it's very important, okay? Very, very important. Now, number 3, guys, is this, okay? Money to decide to do the things I want to do under the will of God. Now, what I mean is this. There is this very toxic culture, and I don't mean toxic as in the people are toxic, but I mean the actual culture itself is toxic. It's a toxic culture that people basically say you have to sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice, and then at the end of the tunnel is when you're actually going to see some benefit to what you're actually doing. It's a very flawed way of looking at life. Here's a more reasonable example, okay? I don't like my job. I absolutely hate it, but I work it just because I need to pay the bills, for example. And these bills that I have and this lifestyle I have with the house that I own, the car that I drive, all these things, I'll lose everything if I don't keep working. Now, I'm pretty sure that once I turn 64 years old, or once I get this promotion, or once I do this thing, then I'm probably going to be happy. Now, if you ask me, what do I rather be doing? I really rather be teaching. That's the job I actually love. If I could do anything, I would probably be teaching. Why don't you? Well, if I start teaching, I'll take a massive pay cut. I wouldn't be able to afford the house. I wouldn't be able to afford to keep the kids in the private school I want to keep them in, or I can't keep driving the car that I'm driving. Maybe I just have to wait until I'm 64. And these people basically prolong their happiness or the things they actually want to do until a place or a state when it's actually not worth it. If you're giving up your life, like your 30s and 40s and 50s, to then start living when you're 60, that's pretty insane, okay? It's very stupid, because at that point, obviously, your health is going to deteriorate. Your energy is going to deteriorate. What you think you actually want to do with traveling and visiting, you're probably not going to have the energy to do that, and you will be spending a portion of your life probably in the hospital too, because that's just a part of getting older. So my point is that sometimes you're better off with downgrading your lifestyle, or the current lifestyle you actually have. And by the way, I wouldn't even consider it like a downgrade, because it's an upgrade, because it allows you to do what you actually want to do and get meaning out of your life, okay? So I say this, you know what? I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to sell the car. I'm going to start working the job I actually want to work, although I get a pay cut. But with this pay cut, now I can basically maybe get a house I can actually afford within that budget, pay cash for a car. I'm able to come home earlier, dedicate more time to my kids. You know, so there are a lot of benefits, and sometimes there are a lot of things you can do right now where with the money you make right now that you don't think is even possible. You know, I think I learned this from a book, and the book was it was called The 4-Hour Work Week, where Tim Ferriss was like, a lot of people never actually calculate how much money the lifestyle they actually want would cost them. And so they keep working and working and working, not knowing they're actually able to achieve what they want to achieve right now. And its example was not based on just living in America, but his example was, if you really want to live outside of America, if you can get a job that makes you like $2,000 a month, or a business that makes you like $2,000 a month, you can easily live in like almost anywhere in the world, because that is a lot of money everywhere else. But I also apply it to, if you want to work a career that you actually feel passionate about, that you're good at, and is actually in demand and actually earns you money. I'm not telling you go out there and work a job that nobody cares about, because it's not just about what you like, but it's also about, you know, what works in the marketplace. So you have to try different things out to find out what you like, what works, and what's actually going to get you money. You know, that's also very important, because you should have a profitable source of employment, especially if you plan on raising a family and everything else. Okay, so that's the idea. But putting things off until the end of life, it's kind of like nonsensical, if you ask me. But guys, those are the things that I use money for the most. I use it to be able to spend the time that I want to invest in the people that I want to invest in, the things that I want to invest it into the right things. I hope to be doing that. I also use it to gift, to share with charity and so on, which is something I like to do. It does feel good. And when I do it, I don't like to talk about it, because I think it kind of just takes away from the whole thing, honestly. And I get people that say, you know, I talk about it because this way it motivates people to do it. I'm just not like that. Number 3 is using money to have some freedom, you know. Being able to say, you know, I'm going to live here in my home country with my family. To me, that's an amazing privilege. You know, to me, that is awesome. So yeah, sometimes you're able to achieve what you want and you just don't know it, because so many things are tying you down. And sometimes the best thing you can do is just basically get rid of those things that are tying you down. I am not talking about like people and family and things like that. I'm talking about like material things and places that just don't really equate, or things like, just drop my phone, or things like that take up a lot of time. Yeah, that is it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Share some things in the comments down below that you also agree with or you don't agree with. Up here, another video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Peace. Drop my phone.